Hey guys, how you doing? Ken's Money Matters here. We're back with another video, and today I'm bringing you a video from Qatar. I traveled to Doha, Qatar over the last weekend. I was there from a Thursday to like a Monday, actually to a Tuesday. So I was there for a couple of days, and I just went there for some fun. Me and travel. I travel to have fun. I travel to explore the world. I travel to just get out of my comfort zone, and it's the best thing I've ever done for myself. So I went for a weekend away. I would call it a weekend away. We had a kind of a party, a birthday party there, and we had like lots of friends coming over as well from different places. It was a really nice time to enjoy in Doha. But like I always said, anywhere I go, anything I do, I'm thinking finances, I'm thinking money, I'm thinking wealth, I'm thinking investing, right? Because that's my life. That's what I talk about. That's what matters to me. That's something I enjoy, I'm passionate about. So yeah. So I got some really good lessons from Qatar. Now, just a quick overview, by the way, of Qatar, Doha. Qatar is in the Middle East. Most of you would know where Qatar is. Lots of Kenyans there, by the way. Loads of Kenyans working there right now. Everyone you speak to, every Uber person you say, oh, I'm from Kenya, they're like, oh, there are so many Kenyans here. And when you're walking through the airport, in Qatar, by the way, it's just Kiswahili is the language. Kiswahili is the national language of Qatar Airport. Hamad International Airport should be declared Kiswahili zone because everyone speaks Swahili, from the security guys to the people helping you within the airport with directions and information. It's just, it's just full of Kenyans, man. It's full of Kenyans, and it's a good thing. It's providing opportunities for people who want those opportunities. They have seized the opportunity. We are hustlers as Kenyans. We are people who go for opportunities. We seize them and we utilize them properly. And Kenyans have just done that with Qatar. A very small country along the Persian Gulf. And there are so many lessons we can learn from that country. It's one of those countries I always overlooked, but it's a country that has a lot to offer in terms of lessons, in terms of opportunities, in terms of just, exposing your mind to wealth. Now, Qatar is super rich, okay? It's a rich country. Why? Oil and gas. They are major producers of oil and gas. It is a royalty, so they have a king, so that's their governance system. Then, of course, they have heads of different departments and stuff, but the main head is the king. Lesson number one from Qatar: wealth protection. If there's one country that protects their wealth, it's that country. Now, did you know that getting a citizenship in Qatar is almost impossible? It's almost impossible to get citizenship in Qatar. There are only around 300,000 Qataris, real Qataris, right? The country has over 3 million people right now, just 3 million actually, 2.93 million, that's the population. And there are only 300,000 Qataris, so just over 300,000 Qataris. You can imagine that kind of system whereby you are way fewer than the foreigners coming into your country. Now, you have to be smart enough to protect your wealth. They protect their wealth by not just giving away their citizenship. They just don't give you a passport. Because you've been living here for 20 years, 30 years, you were born here by some foreign parents, now you have the passport. No. And why do they do that? Because you have to protect wealth. Now, this is a lesson we can take from an individual perspective. If you want to protect your wealth, right, things have to be in-house. If you look at the history of the Jews, for example, who control most of the economy in the US, for instance, these people protect their wealth. Even marriage itself is protected within that system. You can't just go and marry anybody. You can't just distribute their money to anyone. That is why some people have become economically dominant for a very long time, because they have focused on the wealth protection bit. And Qatar has actually finesse that process of protecting their wealth. Why? Because they can get rid of you despite how long you serve their country. You go in there, you work, you build that system, but you will never be a real Qatari. That's why royalties, even like in England, they protect their wealth in that sense. There are certain things or rights that they don't give away. There are certain things that you shouldn't give away if you are someone who's trying to build generational wealth. Don't just give certain rights away. Don't just, go and marry someone who's gonna come and take all your wealth away and take it somewhere else, for instance, right? Wealth protection is number one. So as you build your financial foundation, remember that you have to learn how to protect it. You can build millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, but if you cannot manage and protect it properly from other people, then you're going to lose it. And if you look at any rich people, and it means super rich, the billionaires of the world, the people who control these different industries, their wealth is well protected. Protected in many ways, okay? Including, like I said, marriage. Wealth protection is top of the game. As you are building right now from down, I know you're thinking, oh, I don't have so much to protect, but from an individual perspective, protect that wealth. If you're gonna utilize the wealth, if you're gonna utilize certain services and products, utilize people within your circle who can also build you. And then the next thing is leverage. Using leverage to make money. Remember I said there are 300,000 Qataris. There are over 2.9 million people totally. So meaning they have over 2.6 million or just around 2.6 million people working for them. That's leverage. In this world, for you to make money, you have to use leverage. Leverage in different ways. You can leverage people's time to make you certain things. You don't have to do everything. I'm doing this video right now. I don't have to be the one shooting it. I don't have to be the one editing it. I don't have to be the one posting it. I don't have to be the one managing the comments and stuff. I could leverage someone's time, to do that for me as I use that time somewhere else to, build more. So what Qataris have done is they realize that, okay, we are only 300,000 people. We are a small population. We can't build this, but we have the money. Bring in people. Let's leverage their time, their labor, their effort, their intellect as well to build this, okay? And now you can also leverage certain things in life. You can leverage people's time. You can leverage people's energy. You can leverage people's knowledge, because you can't know everything. I can't know everything, right? Even in finance alone, I can't understand everything. I ask questions. I learn every day. I read books. And so you have to leverage people's resources for you to get to where you want to go to. If you are selfish and you think that you're going to just make it out of nowhere, it won't work. You have to leverage people's stuff. And again, leveraging people's money as well on an individual basis, you have to use loan, you have to use debt certain times. I do speak against debt. Obviously, when you don't have the capability to manage it, you don't have the goal on the objective or the objective to use that debt properly, I speak against it. But if you can use it properly to buy assets that can then push your wealth level higher, then leverage people's money. That's one of the best ways to actually build wealth. Qatar has learned to leverage people's time, energy, resources, intellect, everything you can imagine to get where they are. Only 300,000 people, 2.6 million people working for them. Why do they need to work? No reason. The other way in which they protect their wealth is that foreigners cannot buy properties in certain areas. Now, this is where we've failed completely as Kenyans, generally speaking. We allow anything and anybody to get into our country and own property. That's why we have all these developments all over the place being bought by foreigners. We have even bonds in our country bought by foreigners. We have the stock exchange full of foreigners, money that can be just taken away from the system or from the economy. Now, if you're building wealth at an individual level, make sure that you're protecting your money. Certain things, certain products, certain things that you build, don't just sell them to anybody. Don't just dispose them off to anyone. I've seen cases whereby people dispose of valuable land after, let's say, the parents have died or, the main person has died. They sell off all these things, and within a few years, there's nothing to show for it. Why? Because they did not think about the fact that ownership is important. In Qatar, for instance, if you're a foreigner, you will never own certain things. You will never own property in certain areas. Certain things are just out of reach for a foreigner. And that's a good thing. That's the part of the protection. That's part of ensuring that certain things remain within these same people, that wealth is well controlled within the same community. This is where Somalis have done really well. This is where Jews have done really well. And I've seen now Arabs are doing really well. Only black people don't do well here because as we are so nice and so good to everyone, such that we just sell our stuff to anybody. There are certain things that should be off limits for anyone. Okay, and please, when you own properties, when you own certain assets, don't be too quick to dispose them off when you have no real reason why. Ownership is important. Ownership is leverage. Then business ownership. Do you know in Qatari, a foreigner cannot own a business without a Qatari name? So I can't just go there and just own a business. The initial license, the initial approval has to have a Qatari name. Now, why do they need to work? If they can leverage me to go and open a business, do the business, give them a card just for using their name, why do they need to work? Opening a business there is a privilege. And this is something we haven't learned. We haven't learned to use our privileges. We are in a country that people want to come to, that people want to, explore. In a developing country that still has lots of opportunities, lots of people coming from the West to ensure that they use these opportunities. But then we just give them the opportunity to use them as we want to. Now, even in your own business, even if you're expanding your business, you bring in investors into the business, you have to ensure that you are remaining in control of whatever it is you're doing. Whether it's your own business, people are coming to invest, you have to ensure that you remain in control. Why? Because that's what matters. That's how you use other people to leverage whatever it is that you're doing, however much you remain in control and get all the credit and the money. So in Qatar, you don't just go in there and just open a business. No, the initial license has to be the Qatari name, and you'll be giving them a card based on your agreement. You'll negotiate and agree, okay, I'm going to open a business in your name. I'm going to give you this amount of money. You're just earning money for being a Qatari. That's where you just earn money for being a Qatari. Then there's something I mentioned earlier. Let me just go into it a bit. Marriage is highly localized for them to maintain wealth. We are the only people, we are the only race who are so so liberal with our marriage. We are the only people who think that, oh, let me marry everyone, as long as they love me, as long as I love them, as long as I'm happy. Some of these people have built wealth, do not care about happiness. They don't care about all these things that people talk about. Yes, happiness is going to be at a certain level, obviously, but it's not like the top of the list. It's first strategic. Everything they do, including marriage, is strategic. Even you in your personal life, as you develop financially speaking, your marriage is going to be super strategic. You have to know what kind of partner you're going to have. Because they say one of the most important decisions you can ever make in your life is the person you marry, the person you choose to spend your life with. It is going to determine how far you go financially speaking. So why not make that decision in a very strategic manner? Why not think of it in terms of, okay, I'm going to build wealth at some point. I want someone who's going to support me through that process. And I also want someone that if that wealth is passed over to them, it still remains within the same community with people that look like me. I think that we are the most open people. We are very open to marrying anyone else. And that's why we can never build wealth. That's why we cannot compete anywhere. Look at Jews. Do you see them marrying other people? No. Look at Indians. Largely, they marry other people? No. Look at Arabs. Look at successful white people. They don't just go marrying outside there. It's not normal. It's not common because they are protecting certain things. Marriage is an economic tool that we have to learn how to use. We are the only open people to marrying anything and anyone. We are so liberal and so nice. We look for happiness. If you want to have economic control, you can't be busy seeking happiness as the initial thing. It has to be strategic. Everything you do has to be strategic. That's why Qataris have localized their marriages. Why? Because that wealth cannot just go anywhere. That's why you can even marry a Qatari and getting the citizenship still becomes a problem. But again, it is highly frowned upon that you're just going to take some foreigner and marry them and come to the country. Now, the other thing about Qatar is that crime is at 0.00%. Listen to that again. Crime in Qatar is at 0.00%. There's no crime. You can leave your phone anywhere and get it back. Now, why is crime not there in that society? It could be punishment. Someone could say that the punishments are severe, but that's not only it. It's because they are economically successful. Most people steal not because they are born to be thieves. Most people steal because they are in a system that does not allow them to thrive and explore their potential fully. So the only option they see is to steal. If we are going to make a society that thrives, we're going to focus on the success of people. We're going to create an environment that allows people to explore their full potential. We're going to create an environment that allows people to succeed financially speaking. That's the only way. Crime being 0.0%, yes, partly punishment. Yeah, there must be consequences. But again, mainly it's about ensuring that every single person has a job. There are opportunities for everyone. The country is feeding everybody. There's housing for everyone. No one is homeless. And it makes the system work. And that's a money lesson. It means that success helps you emulate those values even more. And then finally, wealth is mainly held in the hands of local people. You will never find a big organization that is mainly controlled by foreigners in Qatar. And even you, as you build your own finances, make sure you're holding most of your wealth. Make sure that things are well within your control. You don't end up in a place whereby your wealth can just be taken away by anybody. We have to retain that wealth locally speaking. The wealth has to be held. The organizations that deal with, let's say, oil and gas, which is their main source of income, are mainly held by Qataris, And now what they have done, which is so good, is that they are diversifying. Qataris are investing in these European countries like no one's business. Investment in other countries, diversification, getting into the other areas, knowing very well that oil and gas will at some point not become very important to most people, and therefore they have to diversify their investment. Now Qataris are owning real estate like crazy. We'll talk about France, they own half of France. You talk about London, they own half of London. You talk about New York, they own half of it. They are in control of every major economy. That teaches you something. Diversification is important. Don't focus on one thing. Even if you're doing business, how do you diversify your investment into other areas? As you invest, how do you ensure that you're capturing a wider area to ensure that you're succeeding? I hope you've gotten some lessons from this Qatari trip. Apply them in your life, and even if you're going to become a leader, if you're in a position of power, position of policy, make sure these are things you're thinking about. Until next time, I'm out.